Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on the program, the government sets the suggested retail price of imported red onions at 125 pesos per kilogram in Metro Manila. Farmers groups call for more government support as the Senate hopes to ratify the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership or RCEP by April. Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura Chairperson Rosendo So joins us in the show. And later we check on the price of basic goods in the market. Trade Assistant Secretary Anne-Claire Cabochan tells us more. The Metro Manila Council has vowed to implement the 125 suggested retail price. This comes as the Agriculture Department issues at least 13 notices of SRP violations against retailers. In its price monitoring in the NCR markets, local red onions are being sold at 240 pesos per kilo, while imported ones retail at 130 pesos per kilo. Let's now go straight to the source of the story, Sinag chairperson Rosendo So. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us in the source.
Yeah, morning, Mai.
Okay, let's talk about the imported onions that arrived, I think, a few weeks ago. This was upon the instructions of President Bongbong Marcos, and it arrived 3 weeks ago. How has this affected our farmers, sir?
Yeah, so far, Mai, the volume is not so big. No? It's only around 3,800 metric tons or 3.8 million kilo, in which the 21,000 metric tons was reduced to 3,800. So that is enough for February for the red onion. So we don't see any problem with the volume. And the price of the retail price, which was set at 125, is okay because the imported red onions is around, landed cost is around 25 to 26 pesos, and the importer is selling at 70 to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler is selling at 94 pesos per kilo. So the retailer can sell it at 125.
So, sir, you're saying this 3,800 metric tons of imported red onions was just sufficient to, did it help stabilize prices in the markets, and also it did not hurt our local farmers so much?
Yeah, it will not hurt our local farmers, but if you can see, the white onion is already harvesting, and the price of farm gate now is around 50 pesos per kilo for the local white onions. We hope that the retail will go down because it is still selling at I think 180 to 200 pesos the local white onion.
Okay, sir. Well, can you give us an update on the harvest now for the onions? When is the peak harvest season? Because I remember harvest was started January and this will continue up to April. Is that correct, sir? Pero ano po yung peak niya?
Yeah, bali ang harvest is start at January. Third week of January. Our peak is March, no? But now marami na rin yung white onions sa Nueva Ecija. So kung makita natin is it went down to around 50 pesos per kilo already. We see a more lesser price this coming March for the white onion, and the red onion will also go down by this coming March.
So how much produce are we expecting from this harvest? Would this be sufficient to supply the needs of our consumers now?
Yeah, by March, we think March, April, and May, the harvest of, if the harvest of Mindoro come in, there will be a lots of red onion. And of course, the harvest now for the red onions is in Bayambang, Pangasinan, and Nueva Ecija. But the peak will be also on March.
So, sir, you said 3,800 metric tons of red onions arrived. As per your agreement with the DA, may darating pa po ba na another batch of imported onions or wala na?
Maybe we think na ang kailangan mag-import ulit mga September na. Maybe around August this coming year for the next batch of importation. For now, enough naman yung 3,800 metric tons.
All right. Okay, let's just backtrack doon sa nangyari dito sa onion mess because for a time, a few months ago, it soared to 780 pesos per kilo. Ano? So, can you shed more light on what Marikina Representative Stella Kimbo recently said that they have uncovered what they suspect to be a proof of artificial shortage of onions in the market. This is regarding the data provided by the DA's Bureau of Plant Industry that revealed the increase in the demand in onions suddenly jumped to 39% in 2022, while from 2011 to 2021, demand for onions had been steady at 5%. Do you know anything about that, sir? And can you make light of it, shed more light on that?
Yeah, I think September, last week of September, we meet with the president and we told him that we need to import the white onion by October last year. And he said that talk with the agency, with the department, to set up a importation at that time. And we meet with the Bureau of Plant Industry and the farmers and the importer at that time. Bureau of Plant Industry has suggested to import 15,000 metric tons for October towards November. But the farmers group told the DA that if we could import half of it, 7,500
7,500, okay.
Yun ang alam namin, no, na papasok yung 700,000 metric tons ito anong last year, no, ng end of October. Tapos kung maubos yun, another 7,500 metric tons will come in. Pero that did not happen. So the 15,000 metric ton did not come in last year. So doon nagkaroon ng problema doon sa shortage ng onion.
So yung suggestion nyo na dapat may 7,500 metric tons na dapat dumating nung December, hindi po dumating, hindi po natuloy yung importation.
Dumating dapat ng November yun.
Dapat November.
Tapos kung kulang pa, dumating ulit ng December ng another 7,500.
What was the reason behind that, do you think, sir?
I don't know, no, because when we meet October, what we know is may papasok na 7,500. After that meeting, ang alam namin, may papasok pero hindi naman pumasok.
And you also predicted, di ba po, na pag nangyari yon na hindi dumating yung imported onions, that prices will surge to 500 pesos per kilo by December.
Yeah, and when we meet again with the BPI and DEA November, we suggested a joint inventory, and when we go around at that time, talagang mababa na yung inventory dun sa mga cold storage na in which kasama natin ang BPI, and we also suggested again to import at that time 3,500 metric tons so that hindi magkaroon ng shortage.
Okay, sir, bumalik po tayo doon sa sudden surge of demand according to the data by the DA's Bureau of Plant Industry. Ang sabi po, di ba, nag-surge yung demand nila suddenly by 32% in 2022. Nakapag-usap na po ba kayo regarding this with the DA, and what was the justification for the surge in demand when in fact the previous years the demand was steady at 5%?
I don't think that it surged, no, lalo na nung November, December, kasi it went up, the price went up. Maraming hindi gumamit ng sibuyas, so I don't think that the consumption will surge, no. Imagine yung dating bumibili ng sabihin natin 1 kilo na sibuyas na mabibili sa 80 to 90, umakyat ng 250 at that time, November time. So nabawasan yung consumption, and yung December, kung makikita natin maski yung mga food chain, tinanggal na yung sibuyas. So, we don't see na nag-surge yung consumption ng November, December. Mukhang mali yung statement nila.
So, you're saying baka mali yung data, or ang sinasabi po ni Representative Kimbo, was there an artificial shortage? Ganun po ba?
Yeah, yung shortage is dahil konti na lang yung stock, isa yan. And ang may hawak dun sa kagaya ng Nueva Ecija, isang cold storage na lang ang may stocks nung November inventory. So yung owner is yung stocks na nandoon konti na lang yung may-ari. So nakita natin na talagang kulang, no? Kasi yung karga ng warehouse is around 30,000 bags na lang at that time. Ang Metro Manila needs around, kung normal condition, we are consuming around 5,000 bags a day.
Okay. Ang sabi niyo po kanina, sana po yung next importation ay sa September na. Kasi po, di ba, yung peak ng harvest of our onions is by March. So that is enough to supply the demand of the consumers. So nakapag-usap na po ba kayo with the DA regarding this, and have they agreed with your assessment na the imports would be in September?
I think I think wala naman additional import permit na issue. So we are assuming na yun din ang projection na nakikita nila, no. Dahil yung yung harvest ng May and April and March. Yun ang nilalagay na sa cold storage na in which kung makikita natin September, siguradong hindi mauubos yung stocks ng kung naglagay sa cold storage.
So sa tingin niyo po itong SRP 125 pesos per kilo, this will be stable up to September na po ba ito?
Yeah, I think it will go down, no, by March. The price of red onion will still go down by March.
Okay. We will be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Our source today, Sinag chairperson, Rosendo So. Sir, can we get an update on the harvesting and supply of other agricultural goods like our vegetables? Are we seeing any dip in supply or a rise in prices?
Yeah, we see stable naman ang price, no, ng vegetable, and continuous naman ang harvest ng ating mga magsasaka. We don't see any surge on price, and yung price of other commodities naman like pork, chicken is also stable, no? The egg is also stable now. Wala nang additional increase sa egg. We don't see any price increase sa egg ngayon. And we think na the other agri supply will be stable for this month towards March.
Mm-hmm. What happened to the garlic, sir? Because a few weeks ago, may balita, or we actually saw an increase in prices of garlic. What's the update now?
Yeah, yung local garlic talagang wala na, no. Siguro yung may hawak na lang na stocks. Nagbenta lang mataas, pero minimal kasi we are only producing around 6 to 8% of the total consumption ng mga consumer. So maliit talaga yung local garlic natin, and we'll be harvesting around March, April this year. So wala tayong stocks na local garlic ngayon. Kung makikita natin, yung imported is the price is I think is 80. Pag harvest natin ng local garlic natin, umabot din ng 80 to 90 pesos. So yung retail price ng imported is around 80 to 100 also.
Mm-hmm. I guess, sir, we would just like to check on the situation of our farmers in Bayambang, Pangasinan, because ito pa yung lumabas sa Senate hearing, na because of huge losses, some of them po committed suicide. May balita na po ba kayo doon sa situation nila, and have their concerns been addressed? May assistance na po ba from our government na naibigay sa kanila?
May bali na check dun sa Bayambang, and out of 5 na sinasabing suicide cases, parang isa lang ang confirmed. So yung 4 is not the 4 related death is not the issue around yung sa onion, no. So bali isa lang ang confirmed na nag-utang sa sa traders and hindi makabayad. So doon nag-suicide yung pero the other wala naman case na gano'n, no. Yung presyo sa Bayambang ngayon, mataas ang presyo ng sibuyas, around red onion is around 150 per kilo, farm gate price. So kumikita naman yung mga magsasaka doon. So we don't see any problem with the price.
Okay, going to another topic. Congress is deliberating the ratification of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. This is the free trade deal among the 10 ASEAN members, as well as Australia, China, Japan, South Korea, and New Zealand. What is the stand of our farmers on the government's push for this?
Yeah. If you see the import so far with our free trade direction, lalong lumalaki yung import, no? So we want to review the RCEP more deeply so that malaman natin talaga ano ba ang advantage sa atin if we enter the RCEP. Kasi wala tayong nakitang advantage. More on import tayo kaysa export. So, ano ba talaga ang i-export natin na commodities na pwedeng makatulong sa ating mga magsasaka? Isa yan. Yung if you see the import of rice, for example, we imported last year around million 3.7 million metric tons already, no? Compare 5 years ago, we are just importing around 1.5 million metric tons average. The port, we already imported around 700 metric tons this 2022. 5 years ago, we are just importing around 180,000 metric tons. So kung makikita mo is maraming tayong pinapasok compare dun sa export. So ano bang per commodity na pwedeng matulungan tayo para at least talagang may advantage sa atin yung RCEP. Kung hindi, bakit pa tayo papasok doon na in which it will only kill our local farmers. Yun ang nakikita natin. And dapat i-review mabuti yun. And I think Senator Amy Marcos has resigned, no? To review yung RCEP. He don't see na ganun ka-immediate kailangan na ipasa ito. So we see that mas magandang direction is to review well kasi isa our border, no? Other countries kung may dumating na commodities, sinecheck lahat na produkto. Tayo dito wala pa up to now.
Okay, to review
we are not checking our commodities.
Yes.
So maraming smuggle na pumapasok.
Okay.
Yun ang kailangan dapat ayusin before we enter to RCEP.
So a review is needed to see what is really the advantage to us, and at the same time make sure that the interests of our most vulnerable sector like our farmers, our fisher folk are protected. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Sinag Chairperson Rosendo So. We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Still on the prices of goods, our source today, Trade Assistant Secretary Anne Claire Cabochan. Asec, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ma'am Mai.
Okay.
Good morning to all your viewers.
Glad to have you here, Asec. The new SRP of imported onions set at 125 pesos per kilogram took effect in Metro Manila earlier this month. So is this the price you're seeing now in local markets?
Okay, for the just to say that of course that the Department of Agriculture issued the SRP. These are for imported red onions in wet markets. So we have noted from the DTI monitoring that the prices of onions have decreased compared to the prices last January, but certainly it has not yet reached the levels of what we had in the past for onions. So if you note in the bulletin, it is for red onions, medium and large red onions at 25 per kilo. So based on our monitoring, I think we have seen 130 in some wet markets and some a little higher.
Well, the Agriculture Department has issued at least 13 notices of SRP violations against retailers. What is the penalty for the violators, Asec?
Well, because this is suggested retail price, the retailers selling above SRP will have to explain, and they have the opportunity to bring down their prices to SRP levels. In DTI, for the prices for the products that are in our SRP bulletin, we usually give our retailers 48 hours to comply, and to also explain to DTI. And usually within that 48 hours, the retailers bring down the level to SRP. So with respect to your question on what charges or what penalties can be meted to erring retailers, we can always look at the Price Act. For instance, there are provisions there on illegal price manipulation, but then it will have to go through a process.
Okay, well, the American Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines is asking the DTI to regularly publish its updated SRP bulletins. What is your reaction to this, Asec? And do you have a regular schedule for posting SRP bulletins?
First off, the DTI does not have a regular schedule for posting SRP bulletins. The SRP bulletin is issued and it becomes effective upon publication, and it goes through a process where the manufacturers submit their applications for any increase, and the DTI makes its assessment based on what the manufacturers submit and our own independent study. So we do not want to have a regular schedule for that, because it is the position of DTI that it should be based on reasonable changes in prices of raw materials, transportation, logistics, and packaging costs. So we do not want our consumers to be subjected to a periodic change in the prices of basic necessities and prime commodities, but only issue the bulletin if there is a reasonable basis for issuing increases.
All right. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Trade Assistant Secretary Anne-Claire Cabochan. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Mai Rodriguez. You're watching CNN Philippines.